Well, it's time to check your money with your friendly neighborhood advisor, Mike Jennings, as a wealth advisor with Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Mike, where you been?
It's been a little minute, hasn't
It's
it?
been a minute.
It's been a little while, but everything is good. Winding down the year, bundling up because it is cold. And I guess the my lady and I we're in the nesting stage, so we're getting the house all in order for the little baby.
Yes, how was your Thanksgiving holiday?
Thanksgiving was great. We had our baby shower as well a couple weeks before, so that was good. But Thanksgiving, I got to experience the pregnant partner I guess feature that I wasn't aware about. So I
Well,
had
now
like
tell me, I don't know about this, so give me.
well
I
everybody's
should say I don't know
everybody
about this,
want
but tell me what you mean.
everybody wants my girlfriend to eat. So, I had like three people, a couple of them were in like the same house, make like two, three plates. So we got food out the wazoo at the house. So, we're kind of sick of leftovers at this point. But yeah, we had people hold us down. So we left after the last house on Thanksgiving. We had about eight, nine plates. I didn't know what we were gonna do with all that, but we had it.
I should ask you not only how was your Thanksgiving, how was your this and this. We listen. We done elected a mayor since you've been here.
It's been a lot going on, hasn't it?
I did.
I was
I think I saw you at the inauguration thing. Did I see you over there?
uh
I'm not
uh
sure. You may have been there or not.
I wasn't there. It was funny. I almost said Vicky did a great job while I was away. Like this wasn't her segment to do.
Is it Brackens Financial Solutions Network?
But yeah, that was great. I love
No, it's
that. I
good.
love that
And
episode with
and and and,
Mayor-elect.
and the programming note, Vicky will actually be here next week as well
Yep.
because we will be talking to Rob Simpson, the CEO of Center State CEO. So
Awesome. Awesome. But yeah, anyway, I'm glad to be back. And something else also while I was away, something that we missed, was a day that highlights something important that we should all be prepared for. So October 30th was actually National Plan a Funeral Day. Now I'm trying to remember if that was something I knew or something that I just remembered. But yes, October 30th was National Plan a Funeral Day. And to some, that may sound like a morbid thing to have a day for, but obviously, as you know, as financial professionals, this is something that we have to guide people through all the time, and it's something that people experience all the time. Um, but I wanted to come on this week and not just talking about actual funeral planning. That's important. There's a lot that goes into that, but I wanted to widen the scope a bit and talk about, what happens after or should happen after, when you lose a spouse. Technically, some of these things that we're going to discuss could apply to losing any loved one. But of course, there are definitely legal implications, ramifications when you lose a spouse. So, keep that in mind as we're going through what we're going to discuss today. But does that sound good to you, George? Not too sad
I was
around the
gonna. Well,
holidays.
it's a hard one, but you know what? It's better to be prepared than not
Mhm.
prepared, because nothing can really prepare you for that. So let's
Yeah,
go.
yep, it's a hard one, and it doesn't care about holidays and special times and being with your family. Life happens as it happens. So let's just get into it. So first and foremost, if this topic applies to you, especially if you are hearing this after losing a spouse or a loved one recently, my condolences for your loss. No one wants to think about or let alone experience the reality of losing, your person. Um, the most important thing is to make sure that you take care of yourself during this time. Much of what we will discuss is very time sensitive, but it will not. be good if you are trying to, you're barely hanging on while you're trying to take care of all of this as well. So, be kind to yourself and give yourself grace. Now, as I've said, much of this is time sensitive, so hopefully hearing this will motivate some of you to take as much action as you can now so that you don't have to deal with as much when that time comes. Um, some of these action items are immediate, some are in the short term, and some are or the midterm, and some are a little bit further out in the future. So let's just start with the immediate financial needs. Now, as I mentioned, right, the premise of October 30th is National Plan Funeral Day. So obviously, funeral expenses are a big part of that time right after losing a spouse. For most, there will be many considerations for the funeral. Some people are a bit more forward thinking and actually plan out like those details, small details, for their own services, but I know that's not everyone. But planning ahead can actually save you money and help ensure that your wishes are actually being followed. Other immediate needs are ongoing bills, right? Life doesn't stop and the bills will keep coming. So make sure you understand what needs to be taken care of and obviously take care of them. Legal fees, and this could be for any services that are tied to, your spouse or the passing of your spouse. So it could be estate planning,
Hmm.
or having, an estate attorney, business attorney, or a tax attorney. Now, what are some of the other short-term considerations, right? You, you don't really think about it, and it's not something that you look forward to, but you have to notify a lot of people. I'm not talking about family and everything. Obviously, this a little bit after that, but I mean, the people and institutions with a financial tie to your spouse, right? Social Security, employers, insurance providers, banks, credit bureaus, all of those different financial institutions, or you know, uh, services or institutions that have some sort of tie with your spouse. Gathering key documents. Now, when I say that, if that sounds like an arduous task or something that you haven't done, it's because you have not been keeping up with your key documents and making sure that they are stored safely and are accessible at times like these. If that applies to you, then correct that as soon as possible. You want to make sure that you are able, that you're not burdened further after losing your spouse by having to hunt for these important documents. And Vicky will tell you, we have our clients upload all of their important documents, not just the financial ones that the ones that we use, but all of their documents on their
Hmm.
personal financial planning website exactly for that reason, so that they don't have to go and hunt for these different documents. A key document that obviously won't be produced until the situation occurs is the death certificate. Make sure, when that becomes available, make sure to get multiple copies of this. Some even say maybe upwards of 10 to 15 copies based on the number of people and institutions that will ask for it. Many of those same ones that I spoke about notifying previously, of your spouse's passing. Um, One of those, is life insurance, right? If your spouse held a policy, then that insurance carrier will definitely be one of the institutions to notify and provide us death certificate to. Um, Make sure to be aware if your spouse had, either private insurance or insurance through their employer or both. Um, these are funds that your spouse thought ahead enough to provide you with, or upon their passing. So, obviously do what you can to receive those in a timely manner. And when you do receive it, avoid rushing into any major decisions, right? Obviously, after this time, your life has just changed forever. And, many may feel that making another drastic change can ease some of that pain or help them, cope with it or deal with the burden. But, every action has a consequence, especially financial actions. So, again, before any big decisions, talk with your advisor. Another short-term consideration is following the estate plans. Now, of course, as a surviving spouse, you are likely to be the executor of your spouse's estate, meaning you're the ones that actually make sure the steps are being taken care of. And again, this is something that your spouse took the time to put together to make sure that their wishes and all the things that they wanted to take care of, when this time came, is being put into effect. So make sure to understand and review what measures were included in that estate plan, and utilize professionals, financial advisors, CPAs, attorneys, to build a team of people that can guide you, during these important decisions and during this delicate time. A lot of the things to do with estate planning is very, all of the documents, it's legal documents, and it's a bunch of words, and it's hard, sorry, not hard, it's easy to get jumbled up and sort of lose your understanding and all of that. So having trusted professionals like an advisor, a planner, a trusted professional being one who makes sure that you are not making a decision without being sufficiently informed.
And now
Another
these are
consideration.
things you
Yep, go
want
ahead.
you want folks to be having this conversation in the event they lose a spouse, or like where in the continuum would you like us to do this, or just be aware of all of these things?
Be aware of all of these things.
Okay.
It's important, literally at every stage,
Right.
because life is unpredictable. You don't know. You have an idea. You can assume things, but you really don't know until the time comes. And having, like I said, having as much of this understood beforehand, as much as possible, is or will work to your benefit. But of course, it's for certain things, obviously, again, the things that are timely, you have to think about that. But all of these things have to be considered, before, during, after, um, to make sure that, again, everything that needs to happen happens the way that it needs to.
Very good.
Yep. So another consideration is reassessing, or like sort of like you just mentioned, starting your financial planning, right? You know, going through planning, we gather a bunch of data and we put together these strategies and these plans. So now in this situation, you will have all include all this, current data as it stands now, right? All of your assets, now that your spouse is no longer here, your debts, your cash flows, your investments. You have to take all of that data and re-strategize it to your entire outlook. Even more, especially if your spouse passes unexpectedly, right? Again, as planners, we work with our clients to assume their longevity and sort of plan in accordance with that. But that plan can't go exactly the same if either you or your spouse passes sooner than they considered. Um, Another thing is taxes, right? Now you may file, you can actually file married jointly for the year that your spouse passes, right? But what a lot of people don't know is that for the following 2 years, you may also potentially file as a qualified or qualifying surviving spouse, which allows you to continue to use the more favorable married filed jointly tax rate, as a now single individual. And the only stipulations is that you don't remarry during that 2 year period after the year after 2 years after the death of your spouse, and you also have at least one dependent child.
So, in fact, if you can only have one dependent child, you have to have at least one.
At least one.
Okay. Okay.
At least one. Yep. Um, Another thing is any inheritable assets, right? These may be retirement accounts, things like IRAs, or anything that your spouse has designated you as a beneficiary for. Depending what type of account that funds are coming from that you're inheriting, it may have to be transferred to you in a specific manner, or you have to deal with additional financial implications or tax implications and things like that. Some of the longer term, or further out than short term considerations, right? Debt obligations, right? Generally, debt will be paid from the deceased person's estate. But as a surviving spouse, if you hold any joint debt, with your spouse, or you live in one of the nine community property states. New York is not one of those for our local listeners. You may still be obligated to that debt. And again, continued financial planning. Again, life for the surviving spouse keeps going. If you had a financial plan prior, then the idea of your spouse passing should not have been a scarcely had conversation. Again, as advisors, as planners, we this is one of the first questions that we ask in some of those sort of opening meetings with our clients is, you know, how long do we want to plan for, right? Um, Regardless, the period after losing your spouse is the time to assess or reassess your plan for the future, whether you had a plan before or not. Many people want to make sure that they can still live life as comfortably as possible, with the loved ones that they have left. So that is exactly where planning comes in and where a financial planner comes in, figuring out retirement, investments, insurance, taxes. All of those things are still relevant to you for your future, and all are still important to you as an individual.
Mm.
And of course, reassess your own estate planning, right? Your version of this entire process is just as important as it was for your spouse. So don't discount that. Now, if you believe you can use guidance on anything we've discussed today, then please utilize your friendly neighborhood advisor as a trusted resource. Of course, there's so much more detail we can get into with any of these different points, but it won't apply to everyone equally or at all. Which is why I advise every client based on their own circumstances. So, as always, you can give me a quick call at 315-748-5540. Again, that's 315-748-5540. Or you can send me a quick note at michael.jennings@brackensfsn.com.
All right. Jennings is a wealth advisor with Brackets Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial member SIPC. He is your friendly neighborhood advisor.